what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. Check this out. Got a lot of interesting things to share with you guys in this live stream. We're going to talk about high altitude UAPs, UFOs, however you guys want to identify this mysterious phenomena that seems to be sweeping the earth and gets more and more intense. It seems like every week. Not necessarily intense, but people are seeing more of this action in the sky than usual. Could it be because of the influx of smartphones? Very well could be. Got a lot of cool stuff to share with you guys in this video, so don't go anywhere. Let me say hi, everybody, down here in the chat. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. If you guys want to become a Star family member, there's the link right there. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate that. If you're a Star family member, your name has a star by it in the chat. It's just that simple, and it will be a different colored star. So welcome to the chat, and welcome to the Star family. Appreciate that. So far, it's showing excellent connection. Should be. We're hardwired. What's going on, Rick Maritza? Here we go. Got a lot of stuff to share with you guys in this video. Absolutely. And I want to revisit just briefly the video that I did yesterday. That was a super interesting video, but sometimes, just to be honest, when I upload videos too early, like that video I uploaded at 1 o'clock, it didn't seem to go anywhere. I just want to touch base on it real quick because it did remind me a lot of what we saw many years ago. This right here that stirred up the entire world. I mean, even NASA got involved. I posted this. The video went viral, got all kinds of views because it was very interesting. This was spotted from the Solar Dynamics Observatory hanging off the southeastern limb of the sun. Well, something has returned. And yes, everybody remembers this. There was all kinds of wild speculation going on about what that thing could possibly have been. And it was big too. And it detached. It didn't just disappear. The full video, which I can share at another time, this thing detached from the bottom of the sun and then just kind of drifted off as one cohesive unit. It was very, very weird. Got a lot of things to share with you guys, like I said, so don't go on. Got fiery objects, got some cool sky videos. I do have a pretty convincing, two pretty convincing, and they're not bright, flash examples that I think will help those of you that are kind of on the fence about the flashing lights. You can see in the videos that you're going to see today, something is interfering with the flow of electricity. More blue rain. Yes, more blue rain, believe it or not. And then a massive plume headed towards North America, the Caribbean, and it's not getting any smaller, it's getting bigger. But here we go. This video was from the SDO, sent in by Brandy K. She noticed what appeared to be yet another, and it looked big, another object right there deflecting energy from the sun. Now, natural, flux ropes, that's what you're looking at right here. This thing right here is called a flux rope. A positive connects to the negative. It jumps from sunspot to sunspot, and they'll create what looks like a magnetic arch. In fact, it is a magnetic arch of energy, positive and negative. That's not going to happen off to the left side of the sun, just out hanging around. That just doesn't happen, okay? And none of that, it's backwards. So, in my humble opinion, after reviewing this video footage here extensively, there was something there. Now, was it something natural? I noticed the comments. I did notice some of the comments yesterday. Some people were thinking that maybe there was a planet sitting there, some sort of a rogue planet, and there may very well could have been. Hey, Howie Hamster, thank you for the super chats. And guys, feel free to send all the super chats you want, send all the super stickers you want. If you guys have a question, when those super chats come through, I see them quite easily, like Howie's. First timer sent by a lady that comes here who came to Silver Diamonds. Thank you, Howie. Appreciate that. Yeah, keep them coming, guys. Send the super chats hot and heavy. But here we go. Back to the sun here. This would be the eastern side of the sun. The same, holy mackerel, that was an email. Emails are working fine now, guys. So there for a while, we had a little bit of an email issue. It's working good now. This is the same side of the sun where we saw the huge sphere that was hanging off the bottom. And I'm not going to stay on this long because I know I put the video up yesterday, but I felt like it deserved a little more attention because it was very cool. It was a good catch. There's something apparently out there that appeared to have density and it appears to have mass because it couldn't have perfectly deflected the energy from the solar flare. There was a solar flare right there that produced a small CME that just wrapped around the object right there. Are you serious? That doesn't happen naturally. That's not possible. I mean, come on, man. There's got to be something going on up there that we're not being told about. Bottom line, I'm telling you, there has to be. That's just not normal. That is not normal behavior. I've been watching the sun for a long, long time. I've been using this instrument, this very instrument right here, since its conception in 2009, every single day. Does that make me an expert? No, not necessarily, but I have a ton of experience, a ton of viewing experience through this particular spacecraft that monitors the sun and has been for 16 years. I've never seen things like this, guy, and especially the huge sphere that was hanging off the bottom of the sun. That too was quite an enigma. It really and truly was. And like I said, NASA even put out a video a couple of days after the fact when this thing started making the rounds and everybody was, forming their theories, and they're entitled to their theories just like anybody else is. I have theories too. You guys have theories too, and they should all be respected and considered. And, somebody's going to be right and somebody's going to be wrong. But there appears to be something there. And I saw some of the comments, once again, saying this was a planet, maybe some sort of a rogue moon, the mysterious planet X, the nemesis, are the sun's dark companion. I do believe, and I learned this when I was a planet hunter back, and I'm still a planet hunter. I'm just kind of retired, I guess, so to speak. I used to use the Kepler telescope. And I learned back then that the vast majority of stars are binary in nature. They're not necessarily singular stars. So why would ours be any different? Could this be part of the binary companion system? It very well could be. I don't know. But there's something there, guys. I just wanted to touch base on that again because I found that very cool. That was a great catch. It's not quite as dramatic, I know, as the event from 2012 and the huge sphere hanging off the bottom of the sun. And here was as close as I could get without becoming too overly pixelated. Bingo. Something there, undeniable, at least in my reality. There was definitely something there. Was it as dramatic as that back in 2012? Nah, I get it. It wasn't. That was cool. And that, whenever you see this image right here, this is the image right here that went around the world. I made that image. You can still see my mouse, which is right there. I left it in there. But that's a screen grab that I made personally that it's still making the rounds to this day. And I made that from that computer right there using this same zoom feature right here. It's the same zoom feature that I used back then that I use now. And that's how I zoomed in so tight. But anyway, enough of that. I do think there was something near the sun. Again, I'm not saying that the huge sphere was necessarily a big giant planet, even though it looked like one. It was very cool. This one here, I think, was equally as cool and had merit. There was something definitely next to the sun once again. Okay, guys, talked about the sun anomaly. I wanted to share with you guys the blue rain. And thank you for the super chat once again, Howie. Give you a thumbs up there, sir. Appreciate that. Very kind. Recharging. Joe Potter recharging. Right on. Yeah, that's what that's what people were saying for years. People talked about that it looked like something was recharging because it looked like a cord connected to the sun, right? Like a plasma rope. Well, we had fun with that. That was a really cool experience. Speaking of experiences, check this out. Remember a few weeks back, the blue rain, it was spotted again in South Indiana. What? Sent in by Hanny from just a few days ago. This this water inside this little, it's a play toy out in her backyard. But it had rained, and this is what the rain left behind. Blue rain, once again, in this, it's a child's toy in her backyard, like part of the playground. Collects water when it rains. You can clearly see it's blue. Anybody else experiencing the blue rain phenomenon? There it is. It's undeniable, and she hasn't done anything to it. She just went out and took a picture of it because she'd never seen it before. And I got to be honest, I've never seen it before. Of course, I'm in Arizona. It doesn't rain out here much, so I don't see a whole lot of rain. Maybe we'll see some this year because of the monsoons. Hopefully we'll have good monsoons. But blue rain again. Anybody else seen the blue rain? Blue rain, Trina. Anybody else see the blue rain? No blue rain in East Texas, but you guys have some incredible skies over there, Bob. I shared a picture a couple of days ago of some of the most ominous skies I've ever seen. Photos, and they came out of East Texas. Oh my gosh. Hello, everybody. TJ Anderson. Yeah, blue rain. This is, again, very bizarre. I just started getting images of blue rain this year. I've never seen it before. Don't know its origins. I know, like the huge sphere, there's a lot of wild speculation going around about the blue rain. Right there it is. Again, I think I've showed it now 3 times to you guys from 3 different places. So if you guys have any blue rain photos that you'd like to share, and I'll share them with the community, you can send your photos to reports right over here at the website, mrmbb333.com. Or drop videos into the Dropbox. That's what this is right here. Just click on that red tab. In fact, I'll show you how to do it right here. We're clicking away. Here's the red tab. Takes you to a Dropbox. And you can drag videos, photos, but just make sure somewhere in your videos and photos that you put your name, date, and location. And then I'll share them in a YouTube video. Absolutely. Okay, guys, I'm going to take you now to a possible, what else have I got? Oh, the high altitude. There's Graham, my buddy Graham. What's up, Graham? My theory, it's dark plasma, the flashing lights. That's a good theory, Graham. I respect that and appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. I think it's got something to do with dark plasma, definitely dark energy, creating what's known as dirty electricity. What? Dirty electricity? Yes, dirty electricity. How can electricity be dirty? Just Google it and you'll see it is a thing. Dirty electricity, basically what it is electricity. Our current carriers are our power lines and our substations, and maybe your circuit breaker in your home that's connected to your main that comes in from the road, that's connected to the substation that goes to the power station. It's just a whole big part of the grid. Okay, well, say one component of the grid, whether it be your house or a part of your house or whatever, gets contaminated with dirty electricity. Your lights are going to flicker. Yes, they're going to flicker. So I'm going to show you guys an excellent example of what I think is dirty electricity in action. But here's something else in action. I don't know what this is. Maybe you guys can help me out. This was sent in by Travis out of Michigan from just a couple of days ago. Looked up and saw this in the daytime sky. Thank you, moderator, for your help. Really appreciate that. Thank you guys for stopping by and hanging out. What do we got going on here? Did anybody else see this? 48 hours ago, Michigan. Doesn't look like an airplane. Doesn't look like obviously not a helicopter. It wasn't moving super fast, but it wasn't moving super slow. Kind of thick, had a short, thick tail, for lack of a better explanation. Wasn't making any noise because, of course, it was too far away. And it looked like it was plummeting straight down in through the atmosphere. And that's the original color right there. I haven't done anything to that except zoom in for presentation purposes and put the man's name on it and his location. How cool is that? Did anybody else see this thing? It's an airplane with a contrail. You know, I thought the same thing. Let me see if I get your name right here. Tutrips, the Tutrips. But it was just how big the front of the object was. It looked too big. I don't know. It looked too big to be an airplane because it was so far away. I mean, this is many miles away from the viewer, and it still looked quite large. So I don't know. It could have always been an airplane. Absolutely. Right here, it's in a slightly inverted format. I just kind of juiced the light a little for a little better view of the object, and it definitely looks fiery. And that's at original speed, and you can see most contrails from airplanes don't necessarily behave like that. The contrail behind the object had a lot of activity in it, where usually when a contrail it gets left in the atmosphere, it becomes kind of stagnant. It's not necessarily energetic. This looked energetic coming out even once it departed the object, it was still very energetic. So that kind of led me to believe that maybe this wasn't an airplane. It was worth a second look anyway, whatever it was. Once again, great catch by Travis out of Genesee, I'm sure I screwed that up, County, Michigan. We'll just say Michigan. Travis Brock. Thank you, Travis. Really appreciate that. Back to the dirty electricity real quick. It is a thing. It's electricity basically contaminated by an EMP. Okay, it's picking up electromagnetic energy, static from somewhere. Where it could be wide open to interpretation. But here we go. If you guys weren't convinced, I think this may help you at least kind of consider, okay, these aren't bright, so you don't have to go anywhere. These, in fact, are very, very calm. But they're cool, okay? These are great examples of something interfering with the flow of electricity. Nothing bright here at all. Doug L. out of Gilbert, Arizona, 7/18 of 2025. That man's apparently my neighbor, not too far from me. So this is happening out here. Notice the lights. Again, very mild, nothing super bright here. All of these lights, and he noticed this, he was very observant, flickering. All of those bulbs aren't bad. There's no way. Let me turn it back on, I just paused it. Dirty electricity in action. Gotta be. One more time. That deserves a second look. Something's interfering with the flow of electricity, guys. This is telling a story. This is part of something much bigger, okay? Just like the big sand plume coming across the Atlantic Ocean. That's telling us a story, okay? Eureka, Missouri, Dave H. Same day, 7/18 of 2025. He too noticed something weird. And these aren't bright, so there's no need to go anywhere. It's just a very good example of something interfering with the flow of electricity to this whole row of refrigerators. All of those lights in each refrigerator were malfunctioning. And, it was so odd that it compelled him to take a video. So 2 good observations, one by Dave out of Missouri and one by Doug out of Gilbert, Arizona. So to me, that's further confirmation. Is it conclusive confirmation? No, I don't think we have the instruments to actually prove that from a video, but we'd have to, be on site and be able to tell if the electricity was contaminated. But I think that's a pretty solid example of dirty electricity right there. Lights pulsing inside of a restaurant. Great job, guys, and great observation. Thanks for sharing. Really do appreciate that. Okay, we've seen the fire. Let's go to the sky. Here we go. Got some really cool stuff in the sky. I get stuff from you guys all the time, from all around the world, and I have a unique, and I'm very honored to have a unique perspective of the world from viewers all around the world. So just like with the flashing lights, I noticed right away within the first week of these things starting to come in the Dropbox and the email that something was up. And this started in November of 2024. Prior to November of 2024, I had never received a video from any viewer anywhere in the world regarding a bulb that was pulsating or flickering or a street light flickering. Never, not one. November 2024, coming out of the woodwork. Okay, we are going over to Newcastle, England. This is over in the UK. This is getting really weird. Check this out. You guys tell me what we're looking at here. Scott Hastings looked up in the sky a couple of days ago and saw this. Watch, we're going to go in closer. You're going to get a better look. In fact, let me pause it. Get the old handy dandy zoom on there. Okay. You tell me what we're looking at here. This was in the sky. Clearly not an airplane. Clearly not a helicopter. I mean, if it's a helicopter, it's the biggest, most unusual helicopter in the world. I don't know how it would even be aerodynamic. What do we have going on here, guys? Did anybody else see this over in Graham? Anybody over in the UK see that? And this video too is not that old. I believe it's from, let's see, I didn't have the date. Oh, 720. Actually, not very old at all. Look at that. I get you in closer. I want to give you guys the best possible view. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up. If I had to guess based off of the altitude of that thing, I would say that was somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 feet wide this way. Let me go back and look at the altitude once again. At least 100 feet wide. I mean, dang, you can't make this stuff up, man. That's weird. I mean, seriously, that is weird. What a great observation. And it was pretty high up in the sky, a few thousand feet, at least away from his point of view. And check this out, we're not done yet. There was something behind it, right there. A little smaller. Didn't necessarily have the wingspan, if you want to call them wings. They almost look like spider legs. I mean, what is going on? Yeah, again, guys, I was totally just baffled too. Here's the second object that was behind the first one that we just saw. This one here is a little more contained, doesn't quite have the personality that the first one did. You don't see any flyers coming off like long tentacles or whatever that was. This looks more like a black UFO or something. I don't know. Again, you can't make this stuff up. Spotted above Newcastle. So there's the second one that was more than likely traveling with that one right up there. I went back to it. I don't think it was a drone. And it was way too high up in the sky to be a kite. It was several thousand feet in the sky. I don't know anybody that flies kites with 10,000 feet of string. I don't know, just super weird. These are the types of things that I get on a daily basis from all around the world. People are seeing stuff like this daily, and they have the ability to take videos and screenshot and photos of this stuff because of we're in the smartphone generation. Okay, going from the United Kingdom to New Brunswick, Canada. Here we go. Video footage sent in by Luke from just a couple of days ago up in New Brunswick. He looked up and saw this massive, Alexander, thank you for the super chat. You got the #2 crown too. Way to go, Alexander. I know when Japan splits in two, the new Madrid will go. Can you look at Japan? I will look at Japan. I'll give you my thoughts on that. I used to follow earthquakes, and I still do, but absolutely, Alexander, you got it, brother. And I will touch on it give me a few days to do some research, but I got you. You know I got you. Okay, Luke out of New Brunswick, Canada. And thank you for the super chat. That's really cool. Looked up and saw this and just sent the video in. He just saw this up in Canada. Did anybody else see this? I know we have a lot of viewers sometimes from Canada. Look at the massive trail up in the sky. Look at how big that is. And it just looks overly big. That's what compelled him to take the video. It's not just a small contrail that's up there for maybe 5-10 minutes. And I know there's some that linger around for hours. This probably was one of them, but why so big? I see totally why Luke took the video, right? Wait till I flip the formats here. You're gonna get a really unique perspective of just how big this thing was. What was the need for this to be so big? That's the story that it's trying to tell us that, you know, none of us really know the answer to. Okay, we're gonna flip formats right here. The video was about 1.5 minutes long. He was very taken back by what he was seeing in the skies above New Brunswick. So I shortened the video, and then right here, I flip it. Look at how dark that looks right there. And in this format, you can see that it does have a fair amount of density to it. So what was its job? What was its purpose? You know, is this why we're seeing blue rain? I know they didn't see blue rain in New Brunswick, but what is that thing? Is that something that's natural? Is that a natural artifact in the sky that was left up there by something else? I don't know. It was huge. Again, that's what compelled him to take the video. He was very taken back by what he saw in the sky. This is a new video, less than 48 hours old. New Brunswick, Canada. It's difficult to say because I don't know the exact height on how wide that thing was. What? I don't know, 500 feet wide? I mean, that was huge. What is going on in the skies above the earth? And this thing over here in Newcastle takes on an entirely new meaning of weird. Almost looks like some sort of I don't know, an antenna? But how do antennas fly? They don't. Some sort of, I don't know, is that a biological organism up in the sky? Seriously, guys, it's getting weird out there. And thanks to the smartphones, we now have the unique ability to record things on the fly. How cool is that? Thank you guys for the excellent videos. Very cool. Oh, we got more. Don't go anywhere just yet. Thank you for the super chats, guys. Thank you for the Star family members. Keep them coming. Okay. On the 18th, there was 2 events that occurred 48 hours apart. In the nighttime sky, at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 different people that don't know each other saw something at an extremely high altitude in the night or early morning sky. This is the original, and the reason I even left this in here, I know it's hard to see. It's supposed to be hard to see because I wanted to show you guys just how high up in the sky this thing was. We're going to zoom in and take a much closer look, but that's the original. It was a vertical video sent in by a young lady out of Shreveport, Louisiana. Here we go. We're going to zoom in tight as I could get. Sarah out of Shreveport, 1:10 a.m. on the 16th. And I'm going to show you guys an object very similar, but not exact, but it was unique with regard to the time. A young lady in Maine saw an object very similar to this at exactly 1 o'clock in the morning, 48 hours later, at a very high altitude, something similar, but again, not exact. She was very taken back by this. This was up higher than airplanes fly, and she said she had never seen anything like this before. She was viewing this from Shreveport, Louisiana. She said it wasn't making any noise, and if it was, she probably wouldn't even have heard it. It was so high up in the sky. It's changing colors, so I don't think it was any type of a balloon. There it is right there. I zoomed in as tight as I could get without, sometimes when you zoom in too close, it'll get a little pixelated, especially when you're dealing with a black infinite sky like this. It can become, you gain noise. It's a give and take situation. Sometimes you got to give a little to get a little, So this one actually turned out pretty good. She recorded this in 1080 format. I wasn't able to convert it to 4K. Sometimes I can. This wasn't one of those times though, but it still turned out pretty good. She saw this at 1 o'clock or 1:10 in the morning, and she'd never seen anything like it. There was a young lady up in Maine that 48 hours later saw something in the sky at exactly 1 o'clock in the morning at a very high altitude as well. And I shared it with you guys, I don't know, a couple, 3 days ago. 2 nights, 48 hours later, at nearly the same exact time. So is there something orbiting the Earth that is visible at 1 o'clock in the morning, depending on where you are? The first lady was in Shreveport. The second lady, Dana here, was up in Cape Elizabeth, Maine. She saw this on the 18th at 1 o'clock sharp. So 48 hours and 10 minutes, 10 minutes apart, 2 days. What do we got going on here? And this is, I'm already zoomed in here. The original vertical video, this thing was way, way up high. And I know I shared this earlier, but this was before I had the video from Shreveport. So we have 2 sightings within basically 48 hours, almost to the minute, high in the nighttime sky. What is going on? Anybody else seeing these things? Oh, thank you for the Marlene. Oh, Guinnessy. There you go. See, I knew I screwed that up. My bad. My bad. Yeah, 48 hours apart, Rick. Zoom in on a star with your phone, and you'll see it. Merkaba. Thank you, Alexander. Terry Berry, star family member. What's going on here, guys? You know what? I'm going to let this play just in case you haven't seen it. Here we go. Turn this down here. Because this actually is pretty cool. I got to admit, this is pretty cool. Look at that, just kind of sitting there. Let me zoom in with the handy dandy zoomer. And this thing isn't moving. And this is probably at 25,000 feet where it's always windy. You know when you encounter turbulence on an airplane, and we all have, turbulence is caused by the wind. It's always windy up there. Sometimes it's windier than others. But look at this thing. Hold up. Where's my handy dandy zoomer? It is right here. Ah, yes, there we go. This is a classic right here. What is going on? So unlike the one from Shreveport that looked like maybe one object, this looks like maybe obviously it's something bigger. It's almost got an energy field around it, like a greenish color. And I believe Graham mentioned that this is by very definition a classic UFO. It's an unidentified flying object at several thousand feet in the sky. Several thousand feet. So here it looks like it starts to move. But at that moment in time, it was very stationary. So if this were some sort of a balloon type of a structure that's very lightweight, that stuff is always at the mercy of the wind. At those altitudes, it would be wobbling and moving very quickly through the sky, and more than likely would be easily identifiable. You would know right away, okay, that's a balloon. This is something in an entirely different league. But what's unique about this is a young lady 2 nights prior to this sighting saw something from Shreveport, Louisiana. And you know what? I wouldn't doubt if other people, I'm just one person that happened to receive 2 videos of these unique encounters. You know other people saw this stuff too. Absolutely other people saw it. People are seeing things every day, guys, all around the world from somewhere. I get a lot of videos from Canada, the UK, of course, over here in the US. I get videos from New Zealand from time to time. I get videos from Australia pretty regularly. People are wide awake down in Australia too. Sometimes I'll get a video from Cyprus, you know, like I got a flashing light video from Cyprus out in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea. Oh yeah, the Philippines, Malaysia. People see stuff all the time. I've gotten really good videos out of Indonesia. Yes. So here we have it, whatever it may be, another weird light spotted at probably 40,000 feet in the nighttime sky, early morning sky, around 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 episodes, 48 hours apart. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You don't have to. Just go outside and look around. Pay attention. Be halfway alert. You'll see something eventually. There's always something going on somewhere, it seems like. Always. I just got a video from a gentleman out here in Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona, which is not far from here. A gentleman saw what looked like the flashing light phenomena, what I'm calling dirty electricity. And the more I think about it, I'm not on the fence at all anymore. I truly believe that those lights are trying to tell us a story, that there is some form of an EMP circumnavigating the globe, and depending on the strength of the EMP, it can contaminate our current carriers, and our currents are electrical currents. And where it ends up is rogue and random. It can end up in a restaurant like that. In that one row of lights, it can end up in somebody's light pan. I've got several hundred more examples I could share with you guys. But I try to share them in small increments because I know a lot of people are sensitive to the flashing lights, and I try to be thoughtful and considerate of that. I get it, I get it. But it is a big deal. I'm over 2,000 now. 2,000 examples I've received of the flashing lights. Unbelievable. Okay, where are we at here, guys? I need to stay on track. Flash examples show those. Sun anomaly. I just wanted to retouch on visit that because that was very cool. Blue rain. Oh yeah. The sand plume. Oh my goodness. This is getting bigger and bigger. Um, this is headed towards the eastern United States, and not only the eastern, it's already in East Texas. Check this out. Something has got this really stirred up, and check it out. It's made its way all the way over to northeast Mexico and far southern Texas. So the sunrises and sunsets from Texas down here, and I'm assuming that's the Brownsville area. Your sunrises, at least your sunrises, are probably going to be purplish pink because of that the Sahara sand that's traveled just over 4,000 miles to contaminate your air. Isn't that great? I know, it's just great, right? And guess, here's the good news. There's more on the way, and it's even denser. Look at that, right? Here it comes. Big, massive, that's probably somewhere close to 3,000 miles wide. Dust from the Western Sahara, picked up aloft, and it's carried from east to west. Here it comes. Man, this is a big one. And it looks like it's a big cohesive plume that's going to stay together and more than likely head into the Caribbean Sea first. But as you can see what happened here, there was a segment that got up into the Gulf. More than likely, this too has a good chance of getting up into the Gulf. This stuff is absolutely nasty, but it makes for interesting sunrises and sunsets. So if you can stand the dust, maybe go out with a mask or something at sunrise. You should, especially if you're in Florida, you can see the dust is already along the east coast of Florida. You guys are probably, and when you look at a sunset, you're looking through all this stuff right here. That is influencing your sunset or sunrise photos. Not so much your sunsets yet, but it will. If all this were to come over, that would act like a giant solar filter. You'd be getting some very wild videos of the sun, and photos too, of course. Especially sunrises. Wow, that's a lot of dust, guys, and it's getting thicker. So don't worry about any hurricanes out there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. In fact, the hurricane update for today, or actually the next 5 days, 0. There should be 0 hurricanes. Based off of what you just saw, what I shared with you guys out in the Atlantic Ocean, there's no way a hurricane can form out there in that environment. Absolutely not. It's too dry. That's by very definition right here. Let me show you real quick. That is by very definition dry air. It doesn't get any drier than that. So there's not going to be any hurricanes out there. No way. They just can't. They can't form in this type of environment. Way too dry. So no hurricanes out here in the Atlantic. More than likely none, at least my 5-day forecast. 5-day forecast, 0. 0 Atlantic, 0 Caribbean, and 0 Gulf. So if you're in any of those coastal areas, shouldn't have to be concerned about any type of hurricane activity over the next 5 days. I don't want to go any farther than that because the weather forecast, based off of everything that's going on, especially down in the Southern Ocean, forecasts are going to be a little tricky. I think it's going to be a wet summer based off of all the activity I've seen here with regard to moisture. And hopefully we'll have a wet summer out here in the Arizona area, the desert. We like our rain when it comes around every once in a while. It doesn't come around near enough, but hopefully we'll get a lot of rain this year. No, we don't want flooding. We just want some monsoon. Yeah, we like the rain. Looking at the GOES X-ray flux, the last 7 days, there's 3 days, there's 7 days. The sun has been very quiet, but guys, check this out. It's getting ready to get cranked up again. Looking at the Earth-facing side of the sun, there's some components. There's actually a 10% chance of X-class solar flares today, according to spaceweather.com. 10% chance of X flares will be in place for the next 24 hours because one of these active regions has sunspots that have beta, gamma, delta. They have to have the delta magnetics in order to be able to produce an X-class solar flare. If it's just beta and gamma, then they can't produce an X-class solar flare. Hey, thank you for the super chat again, Graham. New deep space object, ASKAP. Oh, nice. Magnetar. You know what? I wouldn't doubt it. Nothing surprises me, Graham. Thank you for the super chat. I'm going to look into that. Another time traveler, huh? Wow. Thank you, Graham. Very cool stuff. Looking at the Earth-facing side of the sun, this is the only coronal hole that's facing the Earth. A few days ago, there was a gigantic coronal hole that was on the Earth-facing side of the sun, but we weren't influenced by it because it was in the far southern region of the sun. So that energy, even though, like right here, this energy is coming directly towards the Earth, so that could spark a brief geomagnetic storm, because that's raw, unfiltered star power you're looking at right there. You're looking at the surface of the sun. Normally, the energy coming off the surface of the sun, Earth-directed, is filtered through the many layers of the sun's atmosphere. That's not. I mean, that's hot. That's running fast, and it's stronger. It comes off there stronger. So when it does, and at times it does, interact with the Earth, it can spark geomagnetic storms. So look for the possibility. Sometimes those small ones, but I will say it is in the equatorial region, so there's a good chance that, yeah, it will spark a geomagnetic storm. But rogue, it may not last 4 or 5 hours. Looking at the Schumann resonance, pretty quiet for the most part. You can see some activity yesterday, some brief spiking for about 12 hours. Today, same thing, but for a smaller amount of time. The spiking that we're looking at, the top row here is today, right now. Right over here was overnight. There was a spike that lasted maybe an hour, and another one that lasted maybe about 15 minutes. Yesterday, there was intermittent spiking. The 4 days prior, super quiet. So those of you that are sensitive to the spikes in the Schumann, you don't need a graph to know, hey, the Schumann stirred up today, because you can feel it with your neurological system. Looking at the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, what's up? Why no data? I don't know. Is this a conspiracy in the making? Let's go back about a week and generate a report. It was working a week ago, maybe not, perfectly, especially this one here along the northern rim. We've been watching this for many weeks as it's showing us these wild signatures. And now all of a sudden, if I generate a report for today, there's no data. So it kind of, leads us to that conspiracy. Is there something being hidden from us? Obviously, if we can't see the data, so I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much. There could be some maintenance issues going on, just trying to keep it real. I mean, that's always a possibility, or they've been turned off. I don't know, but that's our eyes and ears over at the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera. We love that data. I want to see it back real soon. There's the massive dust plume that's coming towards the U.S. right now as I do this video, just unbelievably big now. Looking at the mountRainier earthquakes, update on that. Let me refresh it. I haven't refreshed this in an hour. 850 now in the last 30 days. So the number is going up. When I talked about this a couple days ago, 3 days ago, the number was at 807 for 30 days. Now it's at 850. So the energy at mountRainier in Washington, not far from Seattle, Washington, it's getting stronger. So there's a strong resonance at mountRainier. Is Rainier getting ready to erupt? I noticed the other day there was a 2-point-something earthquake at Rainier. Correct me if I'm wrong. 1.9, I know it was close to 2 or over 2. It was one of the strongest I had seen. So the activity continues at mountRainier. Will it erupt? We're watching it very closely. We're trying to watch Yellowstone, but for some reason, the seismographs are no longer online, and they've been offline now for 4 days. So don't know, guys. Don't know what to think about that. Check the seismic feeds elsewhere. I got you, Mr. Mission Control. I know there's other places to go. You're right. That just happens to be my favorite, but there are other places to go. University of Utah, I'm familiar with those. Thank you. Appreciate that. mountRainier. I know mountRainier is, it is ticking away, right? Okay, what else have I got for you guys? I think Blue Ring, got my handy dandy card here. I have to put a note card together because, again, I have 16 tabs open. and 9 videos and photos that I wanted to share with you guys in this live stream. So sometimes I need a little help. Don't need it now because we've gotten through everything, right, Terry Berry? We hope Yellowstone doesn't blow. Boy, no kidding. That would definitely influence, and that's what's interesting about the Sahara sand that gets lifted up and moves from east to west. If Yellowstone were to do anything, that energy would travel west to east. So this is kind of like, okay, what's going on here? I know there's different layers of the atmosphere and things like that, but we don't want to see either one of them do anything drastic. But that's just part of the Earth's wiring, is how Earth is engineered. Earth is loaded with volcanoes. They are literally everywhere, dormant, non-dormant. There's thousands and thousands of volcanoes. And it's like the interior of the Earth is trying to escape and has been escaping for millennia. You know, the dormant volcanoes are history's way of telling us that the Earth has been very active and rambunctious its entire life, and still is to this day. Yes, it is. And so is the Sahara sand out in the Atlantic Ocean. Come on already. Can't stand that stuff, man. I'd rather deal with a foot of snow than that nasty sand any day of the week. No joke. Drew S. Hello, Drew. Hope you're having a good day. Drew is a Star Family member. Here, I'll put that in. I've had a lot of people ask, how do you become a Star Family member? Here you go. I'm putting it in right now. If you want to become a Star Family member, click on that link and join the club. Appreciate it. Campy. Yeah, I know. Campy's another place that's a hot spot. That's over in Italy. We watch Campy pretty close. Not as close as Yellowstone, just being honest. But I do keep an eye on Campy, very much so. Thank you, Graham. Yeah, Campy's another place that's a big deal. Big deal indeed. I know, that sand, right, Sail? Ah, man, I'm telling you guys, I'd rather deal with a foot of snow. Are you serious? And again, it's like clockwork. It's like clockwork. When the sun reaches its peak in June 21st, 22nd, this starts getting cranked. And not like this. It doesn't start off like this. And it really kicks into high gear right as the first day of summer in the Northern Hemisphere is beginning. And then as the sun starts to retract, and as you guys can tell in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun's starting to come up just a little bit later, and the sun is setting just a little bit later. That's because the sun is making its way back down from the 23.6. That's where this is at right here. That area right there is 23.6 over in the Western Sahara. And coincidentally, when the sun reaches that peak, that dust gets stirred up, and it's like that all summer long in the Northern Hemisphere. There's hardly a day that goes by that we're not seeing some form, whether it's large like this one here, or smaller, more compact plumes, transitioning that 4,000-mile journey. Ugh. But that's just the way it is. That's how the Earth is wired. But it does start like clockwork when summer hits. Animals leaving Yellowstone, that's another topic of discussion, but I got some information that was not accurate, so I kind of stepped back for a minute until I can find some solid concrete information, because I saw a video that was associated with a new article, an article that was dated like the 16th, about the animals migrating south, and they showed a video that was a couple of years old. So I'm like, okay, we're getting our wires crossed here. If the video was consistent with the date, then cool, but I don't know what to believe on that, so I know, right? Haven't had any chemtrails in 3 days. The sun UV feels much burn in no time. Reverend PC, I was just talking to a gentleman in Hawaii. His name's Eddie. He's going to be taking UV readings for us from Hawaii. In fact, he just sent me a couple of photos. I'll share them with you guys in the next video. And I've asked Eddie if he would keep me in the loop with the UV situation in Hawaii. So we've got a new UV member to get readings from. I've had guys all around the world take UV readings. In fact, I've got Darren up here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, who sends in readings periodically, which is right up here, north and east of Seattle. and now I've got a gentleman from Hawaii. He was getting measurements of UVC. So I kind of talked to him about his instrument and how to calibrate his instrument to make sure that the readings were accurate. You know, that's always important. So we'll be getting UV readings from Hawaii, and I'm taking UV readings out here in Arizona. I know I haven't been sharing any recently because there's really nothing to talk about. It's consistent with what's being shown. So if there's anything out of bounds, I'll share. In fact, I'll take a UV reading. Well, it's too late today because it's already 12:30. I'll do one tomorrow, and I'll share it in the next video, okay, and show you what the UV's cranked up to out here in Arizona. Right now, it's pretty overcast and cloudy, so I did go out and measure with the UVC instrument. I was just trying to get it calibrated. But again, very cloudy today here in Arizona. So we're not complaining because it's not like 120 degrees. So it's all good in the neighborhood. All right, guys. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Terry Berry, Graham Giles, Stacy Gabler. Good afternoon. Thanks for stopping by. I want to thank all the new Star family members. Thank everybody once again for the super chats. Look for new plant mutations. Thank you, Sith, Trish. I get those photos every once in a while of plant mutations. Yes, and it's sometimes it makes you wonder, is it associated with the possible UVC at ground level? It's kind of a tricky area. So I don't dive down that rabbit hole too deep just yet until I know for sure that our information is accurate, because I don't want people, you know, to have, I want you guys to have rock solid information. That's all. So when we're dealing with instruments, especially UVC, if we were starting to measure UVC, here's how big it is. UVAB is normal. We need that down here on the ground, okay? And the atmosphere allows it through. But if UVC were to get through the atmosphere, this is why we measure it. If UVC was measurable down here on the surface of the Earth, that would mean our shields are failing. That's why we do it. That's why we're measuring the strength of our shields. That's what that number tells us. They're either doing a good job or a bad job. But if we're measuring UVC down here, and like the numbers I've been getting out here in Arizona, they're telling me that the shields are good, at least above Arizona. But if we're measuring UVC anywhere around the world, that means the Earth's shields would be depleting, and that wouldn't be a good day. So that's why we do it. That's why we do it. So, but I want to make sure before we go making any claims like that our instruments are perfect, or as close as we can get to perfect. Our fields have moved. Thank you, Graham, Terry Berry. God bless everybody. Yeah, God bless everybody in the chat. And thanks for stopping by, guys. I have to cut this short. I could stay on here and talk for another hour about different things, but honestly, I don't have anything else on the runway here. And my runway is my line of videos here that I've got to share with you guys. So nothing lined up. I've already shared it with you guys, but I got family coming over today. I'm going to go spend the afternoon with the fam. And you guys are my online fam. Now I'm going to go spend time with my real world fam. So listen, thanks everybody once again. Thank you, Graham. Oh, the galactic plane. We'll talk about that in the next video, Graham. You are a smart man. Yeah, I know, the trees. 4 buoy in event mode, Dave Gray. Really? There's 4 buoys in event mode? I'll have to check that out. I haven't got that far yet today. I've been kind of busy this morning, but I will check the buoys. That's one of my pit stops is the buoys. They are a good source of information. They're telling a story. Like all these places that we go, I have on here, all these places that you see on here, if you connect the dots, they can tell you a story. That's why they're there. That's why they're there. Well, listen, guys, I got to hop off here. It's been a pleasure. Thanks again for your support, and thanks for spending part of your day with me. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.